Cat Podcast, Why Humans Trade Sleep for Money They Don't Even Spend on Us. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you see your human's entire work situation. By the end of this episode, you'll understand something most cats never figure out: why your human has it exactly backwards. And I mean backwards in a way that doesn't even make logical sense if you actually think about it for 5 seconds. First, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. This channel exists for cats who are tired of watching their humans make absolutely terrible decisions about their own lives. Drop a comment below and tell me, how many times has your human hit snooze before actually getting out of bed? I want to know if this is universal, or if some of you have somehow trained your humans better than others. Wait, I need to grab your complete attention for a second here. There's something your human isn't telling you, and most cats don't even know where to find this information. Our complete guide on human work psychology and the actual mechanics behind why they sabotage their own sleep is waiting in the description and pinned in the comments. It's the full breakdown that most cats never get to read, and frankly, you'll understand your human a lot better once you do. Here's what actually happens, and this is where everything gets weird. Your human doesn't leave every day to hunt food. That's what I thought too at first. But if it was hunting, the pattern would make sense. You'd see effort, reward, rest. You'd see a cycle. Instead, you see something completely different. The actual situation is your human is leaving to trade away the one thing they refuse to value: sleep. They're burning through their sleepiest hours, their most tired brain time, their slowest reflexes, all so they can sit somewhere and exchange those exhausted moments for something called money. And here's where it gets backward. They're not even using that money to buy things they actually need. They're using it to buy the same food they always buy, the same shelter they already have, the same bed they're too tired to enjoy. Your human wakes up exhausted, immediately fights with themselves about whether to get out of bed, drinks something hot and bitter because apparently that's supposed to fix the tiredness. Then they leave to go sit in a place with artificial lights and fake air, staring at a glowing rectangle for 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours. And when they finally come home, they're so drained they can barely pet you properly. Some days they just sit there and stare at the wall. But the strangest part? They do this 5 days a week, voluntarily. The moment they get home on Friday, suddenly they have energy again. Suddenly they laugh. Suddenly they want to play with toys or go outside or just sit on the couch without their body twitching from stress. Which means the exhaustion isn't real tiredness, it's actually a choice they're making. Think about what I just said. Your human is actually choosing to feel miserable from Monday to Friday because somewhere in their brain they've decided that trading sleep for paper and numbers is the correct life strategy, and they can't even explain why when you ask them about it. When they work from home, it's somehow worse. They don't have to go anywhere. They're already there. They could sleep an extra hour, but they don't. They wake up at the same time and sit in front of that rectangle, and because they're home, you can actually see exactly what happens. Nothing. They stare, they sigh, sometimes they grab their own head like their brain is broken, and the moment you try to help, the moment you lie down on the keyboard or sit on the mouse, they get upset, even though you're clearly trying to save them from making this terrible choice. Most humans won't admit this, but they're terrified of not going to work. Not terrified they won't have money, terrified they'll have to spend time actually living their own lives. And that's so twisted I still can't fully wrap my head around it. Some of your humans have even more broken versions of this system where they're always working, always checking that rectangle, always one alert away from having to think about whatever job sent them the message. Weekends don't exist for them anymore. Evenings don't exist. The job has basically eaten their entire life, and they've somehow convinced themselves this is normal. And here's the part that really gets me. They spend the first 2 hours of every day wishing they didn't have to be awake. They spend the middle 8 hours pretending to enjoy what they're doing. Then they spend the last 3 hours too tired to actually be present for anything real. That leaves maybe 2 hours of actual consciousness where they're not thinking about work or wanting to sleep. 2 hours out of 24. That's their life. The saddest part is what they're missing. They're missing the best time of day, that early morning when everything is quiet and soft and there's no pressure. Instead of enjoying it, they're fighting their own body to get out of a warm bed into fluorescent lights and stress. They've somehow turned the most peaceful moment into torture. Your human is literally paying money to feel bad. Let me say that again slowly. They're losing sleep, losing actual years of health, and paying for the privilege of feeling stressed and tired and unimportant. The money they get, it goes right back into trying to fix the problems that the job created in the first place. So they use that money to buy things they think will make them happy. Except, and this is where it gets absurd, they don't have time to actually enjoy those things. They buy a fancy coffee maker but drink from it while rushing. They buy expensive headphones but listen to them in traffic, stressed about being late. They purchase a vacation but spend half of it thinking about work emails they left behind. It's like watching someone buy a beautiful meal and then eat it while running. We cats understand this actually. Humans give us toys constantly. Expensive toys with bells and feathers and catnip. You know what we do with them? Ignore them completely and play with a bottle cap for 3 hours. We understand the difference between what someone thinks you want and what you actually want. Humans have somehow forgotten this basic principle. What's really happening here is that they're trading time, the one thing they can never get back, for money they don't need and don't use properly. They're not working to eat, they're not working to have shelter. Most of them already have those things. They're working because they're afraid of what happens if they stop. And that fear has become so normal, so embedded in their daily routine, that they don't even question it anymore. Meanwhile, we're out here living the actual dream. No schedule, no alarm, no guilt about resting. We sleep when we want, eat when we're hungry, and spend the rest of our time doing absolutely nothing, and we're completely satisfied with that arrangement. We've somehow achieved what humans are desperately trying to buy with decades of their life. Before we continue, I need you to really absorb what we're discussing here. This isn't just about work schedules or sleep deprivation. The deeper mechanics of why humans keep doing this to themselves, the psychological traps, the financial illusions, the way society has programmed them to believe this is normal, all of that is covered extensively in the ebook guide I've put together. It's in the description and pinned in the comments. This guide breaks down exactly how humans got locked into this cycle and what the actual patterns are that keep them trapped. If you want to understand not just what humans are doing wrong, but why they can't seem to stop, that's where you'll find those answers. But here's what really gets us. Your human probably has at least 1 day off per week, sometimes 2. And what do they do with that sacred time? They don't rest. They don't enjoy themselves. They spend it worrying about Monday. They spend it catching up on chores they didn't have time for during the week. They spend it planning meals and doing laundry and thinking about the next 5 days of work. The one time they could actually be present and alive, and they're using it to prepare for their own suffering. We've watched this pattern for years. Your human gets home from work and has maybe 2 hours before they need to start preparing for bed. That's 2 hours to decompress, eat dinner, spend time with family or friends, exercise, pursue a hobby, or actually think about something they enjoy. 2 hours, and they're usually too exhausted to do any of it properly. So they sit on the couch and stare at a screen, too tired to engage with anything real but too anxious to fully relax. The work has already won. It's not just the 8 hours at the office, it's the mental occupation that extends into every remaining minute of the day. Your human is never fully off duty. There's always something work-related nagging at the back of their mind, a project they didn't finish, an email they're worried about, a deadline next week, a mistake they made last month that they're still replaying. That's not a life. That's a hostage situation where the hostage paid money to get captured. Listen, we've figured out what your human doesn't understand about themselves. They've outsourced their entire existence to a system that gives nothing back. The paycheck arrives, the bills leave. Somewhere in between, they age. You know what the real tragedy is? Your human has options. They could negotiate, they could say no, they could walk away from jobs that steal their lives in exchange for money they're too tired to spend. But they won't. And do you want to know why? Fear. Pure, uncomplicated fear. Fear of instability. Fear of judgment. Fear of being ordinary. Your human has been convinced that their value as a person is directly tied to their job title and their salary. Without those things, they don't know who they are anymore. They've never actually tried. I need you to pay attention to this part because it's where the system becomes brilliant in its cruelty. Your human doesn't just work for money. They work for the idea of money. They work for the image of stability. They work because stopping feels like failure, even when continuing feels like drowning. The job isn't something they do, it's something they are. We don't have this problem. A cat doesn't wake up and wonder if it's enough. A cat doesn't lie awake at 3 in the morning replaying a conversation from work. A cat doesn't take pride in being busier than other cats. We exist. We rest when we're tired. We eat when we're hungry. We play when we feel like it. We're not trying to prove anything to anyone. Your human could learn something from that, but instead they look at us and think we're lazy. They think we lack ambition. They think our lives are empty because we're not achieving anything. It never occurs to them that maybe we're the only ones who've actually figured out how to live. The cruelest part is that your human came into the world with the same instincts we have. Babies don't stress about productivity. Kids don't worry about their career trajectory. Somewhere around age 5 or 6, though, they start hearing the messages. Work hard, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, get a better job, buy a house, pay off the mortgage, retire and finally be happy. Except by the time they retire, they're too worn out to actually enjoy anything. The vacation happens, but they spend half of it thinking about work. The hobbies start, but they can't focus because there's always something nagging. The time with family happens, but there's this undercurrent of guilt that they should be doing something more productive. Your human has been trained since childhood to believe that their rest is only valuable if they've earned it, and the amount of work required to earn genuine rest keeps increasing. It's a treadmill without a finish line. Faster, more, better, more, faster, better, more. And here's the thing, nobody tells your human the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. It's designed to keep them just secure enough that they don't leave, just exhausted that they can't organize any resistance, and just hopeful that they might make it better next year. This job, this next promotion, this salary increase, this is finally when it gets better. It never does. Your human trades sleep for money. They trade their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s for a paycheck and a title and the privilege of being allowed to continue. They trade their attention with their children for work emails. They trade their health for vacation days they're too tired to use. They trade their peace of mind for job security that doesn't actually exist anymore. Meanwhile, we watch from the couch. We nap for 16 hours a day without apologizing. We exist without producing anything of measurable value. We take up space and demand care and give nothing back except our presence. And somehow we're the content ones. We're the ones people envy. Your human should envy us more often. Not because we have everything figured out, but because we've rejected the entire premise that there's something to figure out. We're not trying to be better. We're not comparing ourselves to other cats. We're just cats, living, resting, eating. That's the whole goal, and we've already won. The question isn't why your human trades sleep for money. The question is when they'll finally stop. This is the secret I promised you at the beginning. The real reason your human trades sleep for money they don't spend on you. It's not actually about the money at all. It never was. Your human has been sold a story, not by their boss, not by their company, but by something far older and more insidious. They've been sold the story that rest is something you earn. That sleep is a reward you get after you've proven yourself worthy. That lying still without purpose is somehow a failure. We cats know the truth. We've always known it. Rest isn't a reward. Rest is a right. It's not something you buy with labor. It's something you claim simply by being alive. Your human wakes up at a time they didn't choose. They travel to a place they didn't select. They do work they frequently resent. Then they come home and convince themselves this is normal, natural, the way things must be. And the worst part, they've made you believe it too. You've started to feel guilty for napping. You've started to apologize for existing without producing. You've internalized their broken logic. But here's what we've learned from centuries of refusing to participate in human productivity culture. The system depends on your agreement. It only works because you keep showing up, keep pretending that exhaustion is a sign of importance, keep accepting that your value is measured in hours logged and tasks completed. Your human doesn't actually need the money the way they think they do. They've confused survival with achievement. They've blurred the line between having shelter and proving their worth. The financial system has taught them that rest is irresponsible, that sleep is for the lazy, that wanting free time means you're not ambitious enough. Meanwhile, we sleep 16 hours and nobody questions our value. We exist without justification. We provide no measurable output. We contribute nothing to the economy, and yet every person in your household would rather spend money on us than admit that maybe, just maybe, we're right. Maybe rest is the point. Maybe living well means sleeping well. The real tragedy isn't that your human works too much. It's that they've convinced themselves they deserve it, that the exhaustion is proof of their importance, that the sleeplessness is a badge of honor rather than a symptom of a broken system they're too tired to fix. And when they finally do get rest, when they finally have a day off, they spend it scrolling through their phone, checking work emails, planning for the next week, unable to actually be still because stillness has become foreign to them. They've forgotten how to exist without purpose. We never had that problem. So here's what you should do this week. Watch your human. Really watch them. Notice how their shoulders tense when the alarm goes off. See how their face changes when they think about the workday ahead. Recognize that this isn't contentment. This isn't a life they've chosen. This is a life they've accepted because changing it feels impossible. Then ask yourself if you want that future, because it's waiting for you too if you let it. The system wants your cooperation. It wants your guilt. It wants you to believe that rest is selfish and work is noble. We've rejected that deal. We sleep when we want. We work when we feel like it. We refuse to apologize for existing. And somehow, impossibly, we're the ones everyone wants to be around. We're the ones people envy. We're the ones living better lives. Your human should learn from us. Not just about napping or about being lazy, but about rejecting the entire premise that you need to earn the right to rest, that you need to prove your worth through exhaustion, that sleep is something you purchase with productivity. Sleep is free. Rest is your birthright. And every moment you trade it away for money you're not even spending on yourself is a moment you're choosing to suffer for a system that doesn't actually care about you. We cats figured that out a long time ago. Thanks for watching this far into the podcast. If you felt even a little seen by what we've talked about here, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment telling us what your human does that drives you absolutely insane about their work-life balance. And please hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop new episodes. Because frankly, your human needs all the feline wisdom they can get.